Hey, fellas. Yeah, it's the dead of the night. I got bored, sorting through stuff. Technically, I was gonna say technically it's tomorrow, technically it's today. I don't know what it is. Let's just say it's early in the day and the sun ain't up yet. How's about that? Sound good? I like how that one goes. It's good. And there's almost no coffee left in my mug. Oh well, no problem. Well, you know what they say, don't drink and shoot. But, maybe that's what Cheney did. I don't know. For those of you who don't get the reference, don't worry about it. Well, I'll explain it quickly anyway. Dick Cheney, former Vice President of the United States of America, accidentally shot one of his friends while he was out on a hunting trip. It wasn't fatal or anything, but it's one of those things that shouldn't have happened, you know? Anyways, I found a second box labeled as red. I found a bunch of red stuff in it. The vast majority was base stuff from various base sets. Not much of it was terrifyingly of value, which is kind of funny because when I got this stuff, the lightning bolts and Kurt apes in it were probably reasonably valuable for commons. But these days, not so much. You know, I mean, Kurt Ape was reprinted a few years ago. He's out of print again, but you know, there's a white version of him in was it Zendikar or World White? But yeah, there was a white version of Kurt Ape printed called Loam Lion. That's kind of nice. For that matter, if you want to play red, white, and green, you can play Kurt Ape's Loam Lions and Wild Nacatls. I think that's how it's pronounced. The 1/1 cat person thing that gets +1/+1 if you control a mountain and +1/+1 if you control the plains. Yeah, that's nice. Especially if, like, you know, you're one of those psychopaths like me that, like, own dual lands, so you can just sit there, so it's like, BAM! Tiger! Wild Nacatl. Alright, what is he? He's a 2/2 right now. Next turn, untap, upkeep, draw. BAM! Savannah. 2 more Wild Nacatls. They're all 3/3s. It's like, what? Ooh, that's just mean, isn't it, though? You know, the potential to drop, like, have a trio of 3/3s on the board on turn 2? That's just mean. Mean. Anyway, probably the most outstanding thing I found, well, came across today, was Squee, Goblin Nabob. A 1/1 for 2 colors and a red. During your upkeep, if he's in your graveyard, put him in your hand. He was used in so many combo decks, it's not even funny. I mean, anything that had a decent spell shaper in it, well, he got used. Anything that, you know, got bigger with pitch cards, he got used. I mean, he was just really good at the time. I don't know what he goes for today, but, oh well. Found some stuff from various Portal and starter sets, and looking over it. Some of the things that they did, especially in the in Portal, you know, they simplified the card text a lot. It was designed as a product to introduce people to the game, so they removed a lot of the more complicated concepts. For instance, I'm not sure about Portal 2nd Age, but the original Portal, you will not see the word target on any card at all, which makes it a royal pain in the buttocks if you try to, like, play Portal cards in a regular game, because sometimes you'll actually have to look up the actual text on a card to find out if it's targeted or not. You'll have to, you know, go onto Gather or wherever and find the Oracle text, that is the current rules text for the card. That's one of the things, because things have changed a lot over the years. I mean, this is an example. There's a lot of cards where you have to look up the text just to find out what creature type they are now, because, as I've mentioned in previously, there are a lot of creature types that just plain aren't supported anymore. Anything with creature type paladin these days is like a knight. I want to say all of the old hero creatures are now soldiers. I'm not 100% certain on that. I'd have to look that up. Heavens forbid it, if you had a kid, you know, an old, like, revised 4th edition era copy of Gaia's Liege and just say, here you go, kid, go to town. Later he's going to be, later if he has a, if you sit there and say, yeah, I'm going to play blah 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 blah, and I'm going to say avatars can't untap, your Gaia's Liege can't untap. And he's like, why? It's not an avatar, its creature type is Gaia's Liege. It's like, its creature type isn't Gaia's Liege anymore. There's only one creature ever printed with the creature type Gaia's Liege, and that was Gaia's Liege. And they went back and they changed it. Oh, that's stupid. It's like, nah, I don't know. I don't know. But, you know, so you don't see the word, you know, that, and of course the original Portal, you don't even see creature types on creatures. I think in Portal 2nd Age they changed that. What else did they do in Portal? They removed instants. There are no instants in Portal. That I think was a bad idea. It made the game really simplistic. I think it was a bad design decision. Yes, it did remove a lot of complexity from the game, which made it a lot more beginner friendly, but it also, I don't know, I think it maybe oversimplified the game. You got no creature types, nothing that says target, no instance. There were, however, a handful of sorceries that say play only during an opponent's turn. Kind of weird. Oh well. Then you had the starter sets. They were another attempt at trying to get people in. Some of the, especially some of the rarities on cards in the starter sets, or some of the cards that you see in the starter sets, just boggle the mind. And we got Last Chance. Excuse me. I mean, you got Last Chance as a rare in, let's say starter 95. I can't remember. Was it starter 97? I don't know. I'm brain farting hardcore on this one. But take another turn after this one, you lose the game to the end of that turn. It's red sorcery. It's basically it's Final Fortune. It's Final Fortune with a different name. Theoretically, you can run now 8 Final Fortunes in a deck. 4 of them Final Fortunes, 4 of them Last Chances. I mean, I suppose someone out there is going to get all sorts of wacky and be running Final Fortunes and Last Chances in like a red-green deck that just powers out Platinum Angel. But yeah, I mean, some of the things that go in there are sometimes really wonky stuff. I mean, it boggles the mind. Some of it, however, was good stuff to have in there, and others of it was, well, not so much. I mean, you had second, you had Last Chance, you had Relentless Assault, untap all creatures that attack this turn, declare a second attack phase, followed by a third main phase, for 2 colors, double red to sorcery. And that's not a bad card. I mean, especially back in the day. I mean, that was just brutal. For a lot of aggressive decks, that was the next best thing to getting 2 turns. Then you had other things like, please, someone tell me this is a misprint. We've got Mon's Goblin Raiders listed as a rare. It's a 1/1 goblin with no special abilities for red. You can't find that today. That's not efficient enough. If you get a 1/1 goblin for a single red for the casting cost, number 1, you expect it to be common. Number 2, you expect it to have haste. Like, oh, I don't know, Raging Goblin. So we've got Mon's Goblin Raiders with a gold expansion symbol on it. It's a rare. It's a mother-eating... How? How? Please, 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 someone tell me that's a misprint. Even if you have to lie to me, tell me that's a misprint. That's insane. That's crazy. It's nutty. It's all wacky like, huh? That's right. Anyways, yeah, it's mysterious and ooky. It's altogether spooky. What the heck-a-wookie? Heck-a-wookie. What is even coming out of my mouth at this? I don't even understand the words coming out of my mouth. Something right here. Got some cards from Urza. Is anything spectacular in here? Probably not. Blarg. No, nothing spectacular there. Smattering of random jank. Yay, random jank! All sorts of crazy stuff. Oh, hey, look at that. Lyshino Sandstalker. 4/2 haste. At the end of your turn, return it to your hand for colorless and double red. He used to actually be pretty big because people liked him because you couldn't kill him with sorcery speed removal. Because he'd bounce himself back to your hand. I mean, a colorless and 2 red for a 4/2, it's not too bad. I mean, he actually is lower costed than you'd expect a 4/2 to be, I believe, especially at the time. At the time, I believe the standard for a 4/2 was like 3 colorless and a red. He was, if you were playing mono red, he was technically cheaper. Although in anything else, he's about the same casting cost. But you get haste, and you get a weird little drawback that sometimes really isn't a drawback. Especially seeing as how back at the time, a lot of people would play Wrath of God for mass removal. And that's a sorcery, so he kind of got around that. It was interesting. Nice. All sorts of crazy stuff. Some shots. Sudden Impact, which would later be reprinted. Sudden Impact is kind of funny. It's an example of something we used to see every now and again that we saw a lot of many years later in Planar Chaos, and that is a card reprinted in a different color. Sudden Impact, I want to say originally it was in Legends and green with the name Stormseeker. But it's a red card now. Raging Goblin, looks like he was first printed in Exodus. Onslaught, blah 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 blah. All sorts of crazy stuff in here. I mean, some of the cards from this era are still in print too, mind you. Fling. Fling is a card that if I recall correctly, it's in M11 right now. So it's, on the other hand, sometimes you look at stuff and you get reminded of how cards got gotten at the time got worse in some ways. And we got Fire Slinger, colorless and a red for a 1/1. You tap for 1 damage target creature or player and 1 to yourself. I mean, at this point, that's not terrifyingly bad because it's technically cheaper than a Prodigal Pyromancer. You can bust it out on turn 2 instead of turn 3. And he's got a little drawback to compensate for that, so it's not too bad. Then you had things like Chris Mage, which pretty much did the same thing for pretty much the same casting cost as a Prodigal Pyromancer, which wouldn't see print for several years. But you had to pitch a card to do it, and that was, I think it was at random too. I mean, don't quote me on that. Actually, you know what? I think I've got one of those stack of Arcadian Masks over here. Try to find that real quick. Chris Mage. It was a horrible card. Horrible. There she is, yep. No, it's a single red to cast, and it's red tap, discard a card for 1 damage target creature or player. I mean, I suppose that could be used as a madness enabler or something. But, and it is a lot cheaper to cast, but I don't think anyone ever used it. I don't think anyone ever wanted to use it. It's just not good. And that's another thing to keep thing is that direct damage over the years started getting worse, and I think it really hit its nadir of efficiency. Not Ralph Nader. Its nadir of efficiency in probably Odyssey and Onslaught blocks, and from there it actually started to pick back up again. And heaven forbid it. Look at today. We got lightning print and lightning print. Yes, we have lightning print in bolt again. I can speak English. I really can. Lightning bolt in print again. Holy crap! Don't mind me, kids. I'm just slightly Lex Dixic. Alrighty, I'm gonna cut this video. I'm rambling and so forth and whatnot. Later, guys.